Welcome back to YourScriptz, the channel where we expose the truth behind the bedtime stories you thought you knew. Today's tale? You've heard of Puss in Boots, right? But what if I told you this wasn't just a cute story about a fashionable feline? This was a full-blown scam, a masterclass in manipulation, and the weirdest royal glow-up in fairy tale history. This is the real story behind Puss in Boots, and how a cat with no chill finessed his way to the top. Once upon a time, there was a miller who had 3 sons. And like any classic dad move, he passed away and left behind an inheritance that made one son happy, one son confused, and one son ready to file a complaint with the universe. The oldest son got the mill, a business, and a stable income. The second son got the donkey, also decent, free transportation, compost management, occasional emotional support. And the youngest son? He got a cat. Yep. A living, meowing, smug little cat. The poor guy stared at it like,
"What am I supposed to do with this? I can't ride it. I can't sell flour with it. Should I just turn him into gloves?"
But suddenly the cat spoke.
"Hey, don't kill me for a pair of gloves. I've got a better idea. Get me a pair of boots and I'll make you rich."
The miller's son blinked.
"Did you just talk?"
He looked around like someone was pranking him. No cameras, just a cat with ambition. Now most people would panic, or at least question their mental state. But this guy? He just shrugs like,
"Well, I've got nothing else going for me. Might as well buy boots for the talking cat."
And so he did. The cat laced up his new kicks, pulled on a belt like he was headed to work, grabbed a sack, and walked off on 2 legs. He strolled into the forest, dropped corn into his sack, and waited. Sure enough, some fat partridges waddled in for a snack and got trapped. Boom, dinner. Then, and this is where things get bold, the cat marched straight to the palace. Guards at the gate looked down like,
"Is that a cat? With a sack of birds?"
The cat stood tall and said,
"Delivery for His Majesty. A gift from my master, the Marquis of Carabas."
Total lie. There was no marquise, just a broke guy and a bold feline. But the guards, probably still shocked, were like,
"Sure, why not?"
The king saw the birds and lit up. Partridges were his favorite. Must have been the medieval version of a Michelin star dinner.
"How thoughtful,"
The king said,
"Give my thanks to this Marquis of Carabas."
and he handed the cat a pouch of gold. The cat strutted back home like a mob boss and dumped the gold at his master's feet.
From the king. Also, small update. You're now a nobleman. Act rich.
The miller's son stared at the gold, then at the cat, then at his life choices like,
"What is happening?"
but the cat wasn't done.
Tomorrow we go bigger. Just follow my lead.
The next day, the cat went out, caught more wild things, and kept showing up at the palace like he was doing Uber Eats for royalty. Always in the name of the made-up Marquis of Carabas. The king, overjoyed.
Such generosity, such nobility.
Meanwhile, the miller's son was still living in a shack, wondering how to keep up the charade without Wi-Fi or Google. Then one day, the cat overheard the palace coachman talking about a royal tour through the countryside. The king, the princess, the whole entourage. And the cat's eyes lit up with full schemer energy. He ran home and said,
Okay, if you want the princess, the castle, the works, meet me by the lake. Bring nothing. And trust me.
The miller's son, by now used to obeying random orders from his cat, agrees. So he follows the cat to a lake, strips down, and jumps in. And while he's splashing around, the cat snatches his clothes and hides them. Moments later, the royal carriage pulls up, and the cat sprints out and starts yelling,
Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, has been robbed. His clothes, gone. He's in the lake.
The king gasps. The princess gasps. Probably the horses gasped. Immediately, the king sends servants with fine clothes, velvet, gold thread, the works to save him. The miller's son gets dressed, climbs into the royal carriage, and sits next to the princess, still slightly damp, still mostly confused, but now, nobility. As the carriage moves on, the cat races ahead to every field and farm along the route. He tells the workers,
The king is coming. When he asks who owns this land, you say, the Marquis of Carabas. Got it? Good.
The workers agree because apparently a talking cat in boots isn't someone you argue with. The king passes by field after field each time hearing,
This land belongs to the Marquis of Carabas.
The king's jaw drops. The princess? She's now fully invested. This guy has land, charm, and cheekbones. Husband material. But the cat still isn't done. He dashes ahead to the biggest obstacle, a grand castle owned by a terrifying ogre. The cat knocks on the door like he owns the place.
Hello, mighty ogre. I've heard you can turn into anything. A lion, perhaps.
The ogre grins, ego swelling.
Watch this.
Poof. Giant lion. The cat pretends to panic.
Wow, so scary, so impressive. But could you do something smaller, like a mouse?
The ogre scoffs.
Easy.
Poof. Tiny mouse. Then chomp. Cat eats mouse. Castle secured. 5 minutes later, the royal carriage pulls up. The cat meets them at the gate, brushing his fur back like,
Welcome to the humble estate of the Marquis of Carabas.
The king is speechless. The princess is smitten. The miller's son, now wearing tailored clothes in a throne-sized hallway, just tries not to trip on the rug. The king turns to his daughter and says, You have to get married to this guy. And she replies, I've seen worse, let's do it. So they get married. The king retires, or maybe just gives up, and the miller's son becomes king. As for the cat, he becomes the royal first minister, never has to chase another mouse again, and yes, he keeps the boots. Moral of the story? If life hands you a cat, listen to it, especially if it talks, walks on 2 legs, and has a better business plan than you do. Because sometimes all it takes to change your life is a good pair of boots and a little bit of bold-faced lying. If you liked this twisted version of a classic tale, hit that subscribe button and follow YourScriptz for more truth bomb fairy tales, where we dig up the real magic and the messy morals they didn't teach you in storybooks. See you next time.